If this video appeared on your screen, it wasn't random. Right now, thousands of videos are competing for your attention. Thousands of thumbnails, thousands of titles, thousands of voices all whispering, "Click me, click me, click me." And out of all of them, you chose this one. Most people will scroll. Winners don't. Take a breath. If you're still here, that already says something about you. Not because of luck, not because of chance, but because something inside you, something quiet, something deep, recognized this moment and said yes. And that quiet recognition, that matters more than you know. So settle in. Let the night be still around you. Let whatever weight you carried today begin to soften. Because for the next hour, this space belongs to you. No rush, no pressure. Just truth delivered gently and a reminder of who you already are becoming. Why this isn't luck? Let's start with something that might surprise you. The fact that you clicked on this video is not as random as it seems. There's a fascinating layer of science underneath what feels like a casual scroll, and once you understand it, you'll never look at your own choices the same way again. Think about how the algorithm works, not just YouTube's, but the algorithm of your own mind. Every platform you use is watching you, not in a frightening way, but in a deeply mathematical one. It tracks what you pause on, what you replay, what you finish. And over time, it builds a portrait of you. A digital mirror that reflects your curiosity, your values, your hunger. The algorithm didn't push this video to you because of randomness. It pushed it because your behavior, your patterns, your attention, your choices over days and weeks and months, told it that this is the kind of content you engage with. You were already leaning this direction before you ever clicked. And that's not nothing. That's actually everything. There's a concept in psychology called attention bias. Our brains are constantly filtering a flood of information, millions of bits of data every single second, and the filter only lets through what it deems relevant, what it deems worth noticing. A person who has been unconsciously stepping into a growth mindset will notice different things than someone who hasn't. They'll pause on different headlines. They'll be drawn to different conversations. They'll click on different videos at 11 o'clock at night when the world is quiet, and they finally have a moment to themselves. You paused here. Your filter chose this. Now here's where it gets even more beautiful. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system, the RAS. It's a small bundle of neurons at the base of your brainstem, but it functions as the gatekeeper of your awareness. Whatever you consistently think about, whatever you consistently value, whatever identity you're quietly stepping into, the RAS starts filtering reality to show you evidence of it. It's why when you decide to buy a red car, you suddenly start seeing red cars everywhere. They were always there. You just weren't tuned to them. The RAS doesn't lie. It shows you what you're becoming. And if you're the kind of person whose RAS led them here, to this video, on this night, when most people are watching something that numbs them rather than nourishes them, then your brain is already tuned to something different, something higher, something that recognizes growth even before you consciously label it. What we click reflects who we are becoming. Read that again slowly, the way you'd read something you wanted to remember. What we click reflects who we are becoming. This isn't motivation speak. This is identity science. James Clear writes in Atomic Habits that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Every single one. Small votes, large votes, they all go in the same direction. And you tonight just cast a vote. A quiet one, but a real one. So no, this isn't luck that you're here. This is you, already in motion. Winners think differently. Now let's talk about what actually separates people who achieve the life they want from people who only ever dream about it. Because here's what nobody tells you. It's almost never intelligence. It's almost never talent. It's almost never even hard work in the way most people define it. The separation happens at a much quieter level. It happens in the way winners think, in the internal architecture of how they approach time, effort, discomfort, and identity. And the beautiful thing is that thinking can be learned. It can be practiced. It can be installed gradually, the way a carpenter adds boards to a floor, until one day you realize you're standing on something solid that didn't exist before. So let's walk through this gently, No pressure, just understanding. The first way winners think differently. They act before they feel ready. Most people are waiting for confidence to arrive, waiting to feel motivated, waiting until the timing is better, the circumstances are more favorable, the fear is a little less loud. And so they wait. And life continues to happen around them, not because of them. Winners understand something counterintuitive. Readiness is not a feeling that arrives before the action. It's a feeling that arrives because of the action. Confidence is not a prerequisite for movement. It is the byproduct of it. You don't feel ready and then start. You start, and slowly, imperfectly, breathlessly, you become ready. Think about any meaningful thing you've ever done in your life. Any relationship you committed to, any job you took, any conversation you finally had that you'd been avoiding. Were you completely ready? Did all the fear disappear first? Or did you move while the fear was still there and discover on the other side that you were more capable than you thought? Winners move, not because the fear is gone, but because the desire is louder. And they've learned to live in that gap, the gap between feeling ready and being ready, without needing the gap to close before they take a step. The second way winners think differently. They don't rely on motivation. Motivation is like the weather, beautiful when it arrives, completely unreliable as a foundation. If you've ever waited to feel motivated before starting something important, you know exactly what I mean. Some days it comes easily, you wake up energized, inspired, ready to pour yourself into the work. And other days it simply doesn't come. It's overcast, flat, and you wait and you watch and nothing moves. Winners don't wait for the weather to change. They build systems, structures, environments that make the right behavior easier and the wrong behavior harder. They don't ask themselves every morning whether they feel like doing the work. They've already made the decision, and the system carries them through the days when the feeling isn't there. This is the quiet secret of consistency. It's not that consistent people are more disciplined in some heroic, extraordinary way. It's that they've reduced the number of moments where discipline is required. They've made the path of least resistance the path toward growth. And over time, what started as a system becomes a rhythm. And a rhythm becomes identity. And identity becomes effortless. You don't have to feel like a winner every day. You just have to have built a life that gently nudges you in the right direction, even on the days when you feel like nothing at all. The third way winners think differently. They use pain as fuel. This one takes time to understand and even longer to practice, but it might be the most important of all. Every difficult thing you have ever survived has left something behind. Not just a scar, though yes, sometimes that too, but also a form of knowing that couldn't have come any other way, a strength that only grows in the dark, an understanding of yourself that ease and comfort cannot teach. Winners don't seek out suffering. That's not what this means. They don't chase hardship or romanticize struggle for its own sake. But when the hard times come, and they come for everyone, that's simply the nature of a human life. Winners have learned to ask a different question. Most people ask, why is this happening to me? Winners ask, what is this making me? That subtle shift in question changes everything. It transforms the experience from something passive, something being done to you, into something active, something instructive, something that is quietly adding to your capacity even as it tests you. Your pain is not wasted if you are paying attention to it. Your difficult seasons are not interruptions of your story. They are chapters of it. They are often the most important chapters, the ones where the real growth happens, the ones that, years from now, you'll recognize as the turning points. Let tonight be a gentle reminder of that, whatever you're carrying, whatever hasn't resolved yet. Whatever feels heavy, it is doing something, even in the silence, even in the stillness, even now. The fourth way winners think differently. They protect their focus. We live in an age of infinite distraction. This isn't an accident. Some of the most brilliant engineers in the world have dedicated their careers to capturing and holding your attention. Every notification, every autoplay, every algorithmically timed ping is designed with one goal: to pull you away from whatever you were doing and bring you back into the scroll. And attention is not a renewable resource in the way we sometimes pretend it is. It is finite. It is precious. And every time it gets fractured, every time it gets pulled in 17 directions before you've finished a single thought, something is lost. Not just productivity, though yes, that too, but depth. The ability to think slowly, to sit with a problem, to let an idea fully form before moving to the next one. Winners treat their attention the way wise investors treat money. They are selective about where it goes. They are suspicious of anything that demands it without giving something meaningful in return. They create pockets of quiet in a world that profits from noise. This doesn't mean disconnecting from the world. It means being intentional about how you inhabit it. It means choosing, consciously and deliberately, what receives your most focused hours. Because where your attention goes, your life follows. Not metaphorically. Literally. The things you attend to most consistently are the things that grow. So ask yourself, gently, not as a criticism, but as a genuine question. Where has your attention been going? And does the destination match the destination you actually want to reach? The invisible filter of life. There's something happening at a scale most people never stop to examine, and it shapes more of your life than almost anything else. It's called self-selection. Every day, without realizing it, you are selecting yourself into certain experiences and out of others. You are sorting yourself, quietly and continuously, into groups of people, habits, environments, and conversations that either accelerate your growth or quietly delay it. And the fascinating, slightly uncomfortable truth is that this sorting is mostly invisible. It doesn't feel like a big decision. It feels like small choices, scrolling habits, morning routines. Who you call when something goes wrong, what you read before you fall asleep. But these small choices compound. They compound the way interest compounds, slowly at first, then suddenly at a rate that surprises even the person who made them. Over 5 years, the difference between someone who self-selects toward growth and someone who self-selects toward comfort becomes so large it looks like luck from the outside. It is not luck. It is the invisible filter at work. And here's where cognitive bias enters the picture. Our brains are not neutral observers of reality. They are active participants in the construction of it. We are wired to seek out information that confirms what we already believe, to notice evidence of the story we're already telling about ourselves, and to unconsciously avoid information that would challenge us to change. This is called confirmation bias, and it runs deep in every human mind. Which means growth requires a kind of deliberate willingness to look at the uncomfortable evidence. To say, I believe this about myself, but is it actually true? I think this is the limit of what I'm capable of, but how do I know? I've always done it this way, but does that mean it's the best way? This is what the psychologist Carol Dweck spent decades studying. She found that people operate in one of two fundamental orientations toward their own abilities. Those with a fixed mindset believe that talent and intelligence are essentially set. You either have them or you don't, and effort beyond a certain point is just revealing the truth of your limitations. Those with a growth mindset believe something fundamentally different. That abilities can be developed, that effort is not evidence of lack but evidence of commitment, that failure is not a verdict but a lesson. And the extraordinary finding, the one that changes everything when you truly let it land, is that the mindset itself is not fixed. People move between them. People who have spent years operating from a fixed mindset can, through conscious and repeated choice, shift toward a growth orientation. It is not easy. It requires catching yourself in the moments when the fixed mindset speaks loudly. When it says, I can't do this, I'm not the kind of person who succeeds at this is too hard, and gently, firmly, choosing a different interpretation. James Clear in Atomic Habits describes this in terms of identity. Specifically, the way identity and behavior exist in a loop that constantly reinforces itself. Your current behaviors are simply a reflection of your current identity. You do what you believe people like you do. And if you want to change your behaviors, the most durable path is not to focus on the behaviors themselves, but on the identity underneath them. To start casting votes, small and consistent, for a different story about who you are. I am the kind of person who finishes what I start. I am the kind of person who chooses growth over comfort. I am the kind of person who shows up, especially when it's difficult. You don't have to believe it fully yet. You just have to say it. And then act in accordance with it, imperfectly and repeatedly, until the belief catches up. The invisible filter of your life is constantly calibrating. Every choice is a signal. Every night you spend this way, seeking something deeper instead of numbing, that signal goes in. The hard truth. I want to pause here for a moment and say something that might feel uncomfortable, and I'm going to ask you to sit with it rather than deflect it. You're not special for watching this. You become special by what you do after this. There is a particular kind of feeling that can come from consuming inspiring content, a warm sense of expansion, of possibility, of being the kind of person who engages with ideas like these. And that feeling is real. It's not wrong to feel it, but it can also become a trap because the brain sometimes registers the feeling of growth as the thing itself. It confuses the inspiration for the transformation. It files away the hour of insight as if it were already the year of action. It is not. The insights mean nothing, truly, genuinely nothing, if they live only in this hour. They are seeds, and seeds require soil. They require the daily, unglamorous, unseen work of being planted and watered and left in the dark long enough to break open. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has had their version of this moment. The night they heard something, read something, felt something shift, and then woke up the next morning and had to decide whether that shift would become a direction or just a memory. Most people remember the inspiration fondly and change nothing. A smaller number let it disturb them enough to move. The difference between those two groups is not intelligence. It is not talent. It is not even courage in the dramatic, cinematic sense of the word. It is simply a willingness to act in spite of the gravitational pull toward inertia, which is one of the strongest forces in a human life. Inertia says, you can start tomorrow. Inertia says, one more day of rest won't hurt. Inertia says, you heard the ideas, that's enough for tonight. And sometimes inertia is right. Rest is sacred. Recovery is not laziness. There is a difference between needed stillness and avoidance dressed up as stillness, and only you know which one is operating in your life right now. But if you know in that quiet place beneath all the noise that it's avoidance, then this is the moment to name it. Not harshly, not critically, just clearly. To see it for what it is without the story around it and to say, this is what I've been doing and I'm ready to do something different. That readiness doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to feel like a revelation. It can be quiet. It can be the smallest possible shift in direction. Because a ship that changes its heading by even a single degree will, over a long enough journey, arrive at a completely different shore. You are not special for watching this, but you can become the person who acted on it. And that person, the one who closes the gap between inspiration and action, that person is extraordinary, not because the world says so, but because they know what it costs them to become it. The 1% decision. This is where it gets practical. And I want to say this gently but clearly. Practical matters. The most beautiful insight in the world, if it doesn't translate into behavior, is just beautiful scenery on a road that isn't moving. So let's talk about what 1% looks like. Because transformation doesn't usually arrive as a single enormous leap. It arrives as a series of nearly invisible choices, stacked quietly on top of one another, until one day you look back and realize you are standing somewhere completely different from where you began. 1% is this. Choose one discomfort today that you would normally avoid. Not a mountain, not a complete reinvention. One thing, the email you've been putting off, the conversation you've been rehearsing and postponing, the gym session you've rescheduled 3 times, the chapter of the book you keep meaning to start. One thing, small enough to feel possible, real enough to matter. And then do it without waiting to feel like it. Do it as a declaration, not to anyone else, not for an audience, but as a private vote cast in the direction of who you are becoming. 1% is this. Stop the doom scroll for one day. We've talked about attention as currency, and doom scrolling is one of the most expensive habits in modern life. Not because it feels bad in the moment, but because it costs a kind of cognitive peace that is almost impossible to measure until it's gone. The constant input of disconnected, emotionally charged information trains the nervous system to expect stimulation, to become restless in its absence, to mistake quiet for emptiness. Quiet is not emptiness. Quiet is where your best thinking lives. Quiet is where you hear the ideas that can't compete with noise. Quiet is where you recover. So for one day, not forever, not as a moral position, just for one day, choose to step back. Let the feed scroll without you. See what happens in the space. 1% is this. Execute one hard task before you check your phone in the morning. Before the world gets its first impression of your attention, before the notifications land, before the emails orient your day around other people's priorities, do one thing that is yours. Write one page. Move your body. Read one chapter. Sit with your thoughts long enough to have them. Whatever it is for you, give it the morning before anything else can claim it. 1% is this. Remove one distraction from your immediate environment. Not all of them, just one. The app that takes more than it gives. The notification that interrupts more than it connects. The habit that fills time without adding to it. Identify one thing and, with the quiet firmness of someone who has decided, remove it. These are not enormous actions. They are not the stuff of dramatic transformation arcs, but they are the actual substance of change. The unglamorous, unsexy, daily practice of choosing differently in small moments until the small moments reshape everything around them. 1%, compounded over time, becomes unrecognizable. 1%, chosen tonight, begins tonight. Not tomorrow, not when the conditions are better. Now, because the best moment to plant a tree, as the old saying goes, was 20 years ago. The second best moment is right now, in the quiet of this evening, while the intention is still warm. What is your 1% decision tonight? Let that question sit with you, not as pressure, as an invitation. The long game. There's something I want to say to you about time, because I think it's one of the most misunderstood elements of growth, and it may be the thing that makes the difference between those who persist and those who don't. The long game is uncomfortable, for reasons that have nothing to do with the work itself. The long game is uncomfortable because results are invisible for so long. You make the changes, you cast the votes, you show up in the small ways, and for weeks, sometimes months, sometimes longer, nothing visible changes. The mirror looks the same. The bank account reads the same number. The relationships feel roughly as they did. And in that long middle stretch, where the seeds have been planted but nothing has broken the surface yet, doubt arrives. Doubt sounds like this. Maybe this isn't working. Maybe I'm not the kind of person who can do this. Maybe I was fooling myself. Maybe it's too late. Maybe the others who seem to be progressing faster have something I don't. And doubt is clever because it sounds reasonable. It sounds like honest self-assessment. It can disguise itself as wisdom when it is actually just fear wearing a sensible coat. Winners are not people who don't feel doubt. They feel it just as deeply, just as often. The difference is that they've learned to act alongside it rather than waiting for it to resolve. They understand that doubt during the invisible phase is not evidence that the growth isn't happening. It's actually evidence that they are in the most important part of the journey, the part where character is built, where consistency is tested, where the roots go deep before anything appears above ground. The oak tree and the reed grass both start as seeds. The grass shows itself in days. The oak takes years before it's unmistakably itself. But when the storm comes, which one holds? You are building something that holds. That means there will be a period, perhaps you're in it now, where nothing looks like what you're working toward, where the gap between current reality and future self feels almost embarrassingly wide, where the person you're becoming is not yet visible to the people around you, or sometimes even to yourself. That period is not a detour. It is the training ground. And every night that you choose this, stillness over noise, depth over distraction, growth over comfort, you are doing work that doesn't show up on any external measure but is absolutely, irrevocably happening. The long game rewards those who play it long enough to see the reward. And the single most reliable way to play it long enough is to fall in love not with the destination, but with the person you are becoming on the way there. Fall in love with the version of you who chooses differently, who asks better questions, who shows up when it's hard, who protects their attention, who uses their pain as instruction. That person is not a future person. They are beginning tonight. What no one will clap for. I want to spend a few quiet minutes on something that doesn't get talked about enough in conversations about growth and success, because it's one of the loneliest parts of the journey. Most of the real work happens without an audience. The discipline that matters most is the discipline that no one sees. The choice you make at midnight when no one is watching. The way you handle the bad day when there's no one around to witness how gracefully you carry it. The slow, quiet decision to keep going when the external validation isn't coming and the internal belief is flickering. There are no cameras on the moments that actually make you. And our culture, particularly now, is not well designed to support invisible work. We live in an environment that celebrates the highlight, the milestone, the before and after reveal. We share the achievement and edit out the 6 months of barely perceptible forward motion that preceded it. And so when we're in those 6 months ourselves, unwitnessed, unvalidated, unsure if anything is working, we feel like we might be the only ones who have ever felt this way. You are not the only one. Every person who has built something meaningful has had a chapter where the work was private, and the faith was thin, and the only evidence of progress was the decision to continue. Your chapter may be happening right now. And I want you to know, even though I'm a voice on a screen on a quiet night, that the unseen work is the most important work. That what you do in the dark, when the world isn't watching, is what determines who you are when the light finally comes. That the moments no one claps for are building the muscles that will carry you through the moments that matter most. You do not need the audience to be real. You just need the work to be real. So tonight, after this ends, when the screen goes dark and the room is quiet and the only witness to your life is you, choose something worthy of that witness. Even one small thing. Not because anyone will know, because you will know. And over time, what you know about yourself becomes the most powerful force in your life. The compound effect of being this person. Let me paint a picture for you. Not of some distant, unreachable ideal, but of the person who is just a few degrees of consistent choice away from where you are right now. This person starts their mornings with intention instead of reaction. They don't wake up and immediately hand their nervous system to the feed. They take those first quiet minutes, those precious minutes when the mind is still soft and impressionable, and fill them with something that belongs to them. A thought, a breath, a direction for the day. This person has learned to be comfortable in discomfort, not because they've stopped feeling it, but because they've accumulated enough evidence that they can survive it and often grow because of it. They know what they're capable of in a way that comfortable people don't, because capability is revealed only under pressure. This person has a relationship with time that most people don't. They understand that what feels urgent is often not important, and what is actually important rarely feels urgent until it's too late. So they reverse engineer their days from what matters most, rather than letting the loudest thing in the room dictate their hours. This person has a quality of presence that others feel without being able to name, because they've practiced attending to their own thoughts, to the people in front of them, to the moment as it actually is rather than as they wish it to be. And that quality of presence is magnetic, because it is increasingly rare. This person fails. They fail regularly, sometimes publicly, sometimes in ways that cost them something real. And they do not collapse. They take the lesson and they continue. Because they have learned, slowly, through experience, that failure is not the opposite of success. It is one of the primary mechanisms of it. This person is not perfect. They have days where the motivation is absent and the old patterns return and the progress feels like it evaporated overnight. And on those days, they do the smallest possible thing. They cast one vote. They take one step. They preserve the thread even when the fabric feels loose. And the next day, they continue. This is not a superhero. This is not someone born with extraordinary gifts. This is someone who decided, in a moment perhaps not unlike this one, to take the ideas seriously, to let them become behavior, to let the behavior become identity. And over months and years, the compound effect of being this person becomes undeniable. You have the same starting material. The quiet that holds everything. We are near the end now, and I want to slow down even more, because I think the end of something deserves the same quality of attention as the beginning. The world will be loud again tomorrow. The notifications will return. The demands will reassemble. The pace will pick up and the noise will rise, and there will be 1,000 reasons, all very reasonable, to forget the way this felt tonight. So let's hold it for just a little longer. Notice what it feels like to have given yourself an hour of this, of stillness, of ideas, of choosing depth when the world offered distraction. This is what it feels like to treat yourself as someone worth investing in. This is what it feels like to be a good steward of your own attention. You deserve this regularly, not as a luxury, as a practice. The same way your body needs water and movement and rest, your mind needs space. It needs time to process, to integrate, to make meaning from experience. And when you don't give it that space, it doesn't stop working. It just works on the wrong things. It loops. It worries. It fills itself with noise because noise is always available. Quiet takes intention. This hour was that intention. And every time you choose it, you strengthen the part of you that knows how to choose it. The way a muscle responds to use, the capacity for this kind of presence grows with practice. You become someone who knows how to return to themselves, who knows how to find the stillness within the speed, who carries a quality of inner calm that doesn't depend on external circumstances being perfect. That inner calm is the real prize, not the external achievements, though those come, not the validation, though that comes too. The real prize is becoming someone who is at home in themselves, who doesn't need the noise to feel alive, who can sit in the quiet and know, with a settled certainty, that they are exactly where they are supposed to be. The final message. So here is where we arrive. After all of this, the science, the stories, the hard truths, the gentle invitations, I want to leave you with something true. This video didn't appear only for winners. It appeared for people ready to become one. There is a version of you that exists just on the other side of consistent choice. Not a perfect version. Not a version without struggle or doubt or difficult days. But a version that has learned, through practice, through patience, through the slow accumulation of integrity in small moments, to move through the world differently. That version is not waiting for something you don't have. It's waiting for the decision to begin, and then to continue, and then to continue again. You have already begun. You began the moment you chose this instead of something easier. So let the night settle around you now. Let your body rest. Let your mind soften into sleep knowing that something was planted here tonight, in the quiet, in the stillness, in the choice to be present for an hour in a world that profits from distraction. And when you wake tomorrow, before the noise returns, hold one thought. What is the one thing I can do today that the person I am becoming would do? And do it. That's all. That is everything. Good night. Silence. 5 full seconds. No music, just the quiet. And you.